Okay, I'm here at the Pea Ridge Military Battlefield um, Visitor Center and Museum. It's an interesting museum. This was the bloodiest battle uh, of the Civil War fought west of the Mississippi. But it's also the battle that was fought where the Trail of Tears came through here on Pea Ridge because of this tavern and the Old Wire Road. Now, at Pea Ridge battlefield, they would lose. The Confederacy would lose two generals, which would cause them to lose this war. And that was interesting. Shiloh was lost, I believe, because they lost their general there too, Johnson. And so here is at this battlefield is where Stan Wadey saw action. Albert Pike was here, but it's debatable whether or not he's seen any action or not. But Stan Wadey was here, the second mounted Confederate Cherokee rifle was here, and also the first. And so they saw action the first day, and they have some displays up front that I have in a video, and I'll get another video of them. But this is interesting here is because they have this map that shows the Telegraph Road. So down here is where the old wire road comes down, and down in this area is where Sugar Creek. This is where one of the northern detachments would continue on Sugar Creek Road. I don't know if it was called Sugar Creek Road at that time, and they would continue further west into Indian Territory. And so on this old wire road, you have the visitor center today here. I'm going to walk this old wire road up here to the tavern and see the tavern. And it continues on into Missouri. So this is where the 11 detachments of the northern route of underneath Chief John Ross's supervision would come into Arkansas. And they would camp over, the late 1830s. Jesse Bushyhead, Evan Jones, Daniel Buttrick, others, B.B. Cannon, several others would come down this road. This is the area. So here's the visitor center today, and this is the area where they would camp. This would be the tavern. This tavern was here during the period of the Trail of Tears era, and the detachments would camp here. At this camp is where they, little Cherokee boy, where they had one of the detachments had an accident, and I do not remember which detachment it was. And the little Cherokee boy was ran over by that wagon, and he would die. And they would bury him out here. His grave is unknown and it's unmarked. And there were others that were buried here as well, but their graves are unknown and unmarked. But this would be the area where they camped at, which is just between the Visitor Center today and the Elkhorn Tavern. And so this old Telegraph Road this was an old buffalo trace that the Osage would hunt on, and it was a buffalo path that would go through Arkansas. And the Osage would hunt on this prior to the Trail of Tears, prior to the Butterfield stage line, and prior to the Civil War. So this area has been full of rich history. Now, I do not know if any of the detachments that observed the Sabbath, what they called the Sabbath, if they observed it here. I don't know if any of them came here, but I do know that the Jesse Bushyhead, the Evan Jones, John B. Jones, Daniel Buttrick, there were several others that had missionaries. They would not travel on the Sabbath, and they would have services. And if any of them arrived here on the Sabbath, then they would have had a service out here as well. Now, this was during the months of January and March, that the winter months between 1838 1839, that they came through this area. through Arkansas all the way down, and would continue on into Indian territory in Westville and Stillwell, present day Stillwell. Stillwell was known as Weber's Plantation. Stuart Adair, I believe it was Stuart Adair, would end up purchasing Weber's Plantation, and he's buried out there today in the cemetery, Stillwell Cemetery. Jesse Bushyhead would purchase the area there where they would go on present-day Westville, and that would be known as Breadtown.